Hamas's victory mocked the truth about Gaza's devastation. After over a year, excuse me, rewind. After over a year of war that left Gaza in ruins, over 40,000 dead and millions displaced, Hamas declared their ceasefire with Israel a victory, sparking widespread outrage. Khalil Al-Hayya, a senior Hamas official, claimed the conflict, which they dubbed the Al-Aqsa Flood, that was the operations on October 7th, was a triumph, hailing the October 7th attacks as a source of pride. However, many Arab journalists and commentators unleashed scathing critiques, branding Hamas's celebration as delusional and heartless. Saudi media figure Yahya Al-Shabraqi slammed Al-Hayya, saying, quote, "If you see this spilled blood and destruction as a victory, I would like to know how you describe a defeat." I think about that all the time. If this is victory, then what does defeat look like? Others, like Saudi journalist Hussein Al-Waday, argued that Hamas had only achieved a victory over the Palestinians, leaving their lives shattered and their cause in tatters. A mocking cartoon described Al-Hayya as a snake coiled around Gaza's ruins, reflecting the betrayal many felt. Critics like Emirati scholar Abdulkhaleq Abdulla called Hamas's surrender a final blow to the myth of resistance, accusing the group of serving Iran's agenda at the expense of Palestine's future. So, I don't know. Like I said earlier, I think that this is important to highlight because we see so many people in straight up delusional land regarding the ceasefire agreement. And I think it's important to highlight that there are many people that are not in the English speaking sphere that are not this delusional. So like when the agreement was signed, when was this? Back on the 15th? Zaid here was texting me, showing me all of the videos of all of the celebrations happening in his city. And I was texting him back, like losing my mind, going, how is this a victory? Like, I think I texted him. Yeah, I said, this is making me feel like I'm having a break from reality. Like, how am I in the wrong? How is this a victory? Am I losing my mind? Is this a me problem? But it turns out I'm not the only one that feels this way. And I think, like I said, it's important to show that not everyone is this delusional, because with everything I've been seeing all over social media, it made me realize that that the Sunnis actually have more of a victory of the ass over the sword mentality than I was previously aware of. That's what I learned. I learned that they have more of a Shia victory of the ass over the sword mentality than I understood. And so here are some quotes from these commentators calling out people that I thought was very salient. So here's one. Abd al-Hayyak Sinabi, a Moroccan security commentator, wrote, "The Al Jazeera channel, which competes with Satan," the Al Jazeera channel, which competes with Satan, is trying to convince Arabs and Muslims that the martyrdom of over 70,000 Palestinians, the annihilation of Gaza, and the displacement of hundreds of thousands is a great and honorable victory. Oh, criminals, the people of Gaza are glad that the tragedy and bloodshed may be at an end, and their joy has nothing to do with victory. End quote. There was another one. And so there was Palestinian journalist Ayman Khalid shared a picture of Gaza in ruins and wrote, quote, "What brings me to tears about the Palestinian arena is the claims of victory made by Hamas officials when they have wrought the greatest tragedy in history." Here's another one. Mohammed Al-Hababi, a Saudi researcher of international relations, wrote, quote, after 466 days of war, destruction, and extermination, and after more than a million innocent civilians have been displaced, people who before the war had electricity, food, and water, and whose children went to school and shaped their future, today none of these things are available in Gaza. All of Hamas's leaders and fighters have been killed, yet there are still some who say, we won, and thank you, Iran. The resentment is dripping. There was one more that I really liked. Where was it? What I thought was very interesting was other commentators saying that the only victory that they have achieved is not victory over Israel. It's victory over the Palestinian people themselves. Yeah, another what was the name of this guy? One second. Fad Dipaji. Dipaji shared a text of the ceasefire agreement and commented, the agreement aims to restore Gaza to what it was before October 7th, but without the 50,000 Palestinians who have been killed, with desolate land and empty buildings, without a liberation of Palestine, and without the victory that the Muslim Brotherhood and its contractor Hamas are trying to market. Yeah, Armin, what is your reaction and thoughts? It looks like you're looking for something.
Yeah, I have so many thoughts. I just wanted to make sure. So the idea of victory for Hamas, okay? So let's see what victory means. Victory, let me know if this is a good definition or not. You had some objectives, you reached those objectives. Is that a good simple definition for victory, guys?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So first of all, they're calling it victory for, Operation Tufan or the Al-Aqsa Flood. I mean, what does it look when some place is flooded and the devastation that it causes? What does that look like? If there was a flood, the flood came and took over Gaza, not Israel. Based on the imagery that we're seeing from Gaza, the target of the flood seemed to have been Gaza, not Israel. I mean, that look at it. Gaza looks like the flood, like a somewhere that has been hit by disaster, not Israel. So yeah, sure, it was a flood, but it was directed on the wrong side, on the side that you guys were not intending. But anyways, what was the objective? The objective. So they changed the objective. There's two objectives for October 7th attack that we could identify based on the things that Hamas was saying when they did the attack. One is the full-on destruction of Israel and the apartheid, what they're saying, and also the so actually three. Let me actually see. Destruction of Israel, ending the land blockade, right, of Gaza, and three, which is the actual one, stopping the Abraham Accord, right? The Abraham Accord. So let's see, have you achieved any of that? Israel is still there and is stronger than ever. So objective one was not achieved. Objective two, we went from Israel surrounding Gaza and having a blockade around Gaza to Israel being inside Gaza. So objective number two, not only was it not achieved, it actually got worse for you. So you were trying to stop the blockade. Now you're claiming victory because Israel might leave Gaza. So you're actually in a much worse situation compared to where you were before. So objective number two was not achieved. Objective number three, so you managed to delay maybe the Abrahamic Accord, but it seems like Saudi Arabia and the UAE and all these other countries are actually now more determined than ever to find a way to go ahead. One of the ways that you could determine number three was not achieved is that Saudi Arabia dropped the requirement for Israel to have a written agreement that they would resolve the Gaza situation at some point, to having an oral agreement to just show some, and no, not even promise. They reduce it from a promise to just orally saying that we will try our best. So this drop in requirement by Saudi Arabia shows that they are trying to find a way. So Saudi Arabia wants to have the Abrahamic Accord. It just fears its people and it fears the Islamists if it goes too fast with it.
They're
But it
sick of
really is
this.
eager. Yes. So they're really eager to go ahead with that. So based on all these metrics, they are not victorious. Hamas has not won. So they try to change so these were the original goals mentioned, and now that they haven't achieved any of that, they are to pretend that they're victorious. They changed it to two new things. One is, hey, look, there are still Hamas people alive with uniforms, so we won because not every single one of us is dead, right? And two is that we managed to make the entire world uh, hate Israel. We have brought a new level of hatred for Israel in Western countries. Okay,
That's
and
not what the
look at
most
this.
recent polls from the US say.
I, that's why I have that ready. That's why when you send me that, Susie, I was like, give me the link because I knew this will come
And
up
I
at some
just
point.
did.
Oh yeah, I know you. So I know this because of Susie. Okay, Susie sends me some really good insights from time to time. So I know. So I will get to that, right? But the first part, the first word, like, hey, we're still alive. So this is kind of like somebody is just, you come and harass somebody and attack them, and they respond and they beat the crap out of you, and now you're on the ground and you're bloody and your teeth have broken and you're paralyzed, and that guy has definitely won this fight. And you're like, well, I'm not dead, so I win this battle, right? You were trying to kill that man. Yeah, you were trying to kill somebody, you failed, they responded, they beat the crap out of you, and now you're bloody on the ground, and you're saying, I won this fight because I'm still alive. That's basically what you're saying when it's like, hey, some of us are still alive, so we're still resisting. So
And by
that
the way,
means
you're
that
only alive because they held back, like, substantially.
yes, right. And with
For your own
regards
sake.
to, yes, and with regards to making the world hate Israel. Israel has managed to be victorious in battle, even though there's so much anti-Jewish hatred in the world. It helps Israel if they could reduce the anti-Jewish hatred in the world. But Israel has already, when Israel was founded, the world was more anti-Jewish. Like the anti-Jewish hatred is something that is deep within the fabric of society, and Israel has survived all of that so far, and it will continue to survive that. But let's actually see how much because yeah, it might, some people might be convinced because of this student protests, that you see some American students coming out in protest and feeling like, oh my god, look, Americans are now anti-Israel. Well, this is a very new poll that we have right now, and anybody who knows their polling knows that this is one of the most authoritative, legitimate,
Yeah.
trustworthy polls that you could have, scientific polls that you could have out there. And this is from 2025, so this is quite fresh. You could see this is the
10
poll, and
days
let's look
ago.
at yeah. So I think so. Let me show you two charts, and I think I saw people like Mehdi Hassan refer to this number instead of this number to try to act like people are anti-Israel, right? So let's look at this is in America. So the question on the left says, in the Israel Hamas conflict, do you support more Israel or more Hamas? And Susie, these are Americans, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can see this is, so let's see in America. Look at this. 80% for Israel, 20% for Hamas, including Democrats. For Democrats is 75% for Israel. For Republicans, it's 81% for Israel. But even among Democrats, it's 75% still for Israel. Look at this number, right? And also, let's look at the age demographics, because a lot of people are like, okay, sure, but young people in the United States are becoming pro-Israel. There's not a single age demographic that is more pro-Hamas in the United States than pro-Israel. Yeah, sure. When we go to 25 to 34, we see a little bit more support for Hamas compared to other age groups. But even in that age group, we still have the 70% is still for Israel more than Hamas.
Mm.
Which is interesting because the younger ones, like because I thought the younger you get, the more, because people are like, okay, well, this is actually bad for the future because younger people are a little bit more pro Hamas, and if we keep going in that direction, then we're going to get more support for Hamas. But look, if once you get to 18 to 24, we go back up again. We go back up to Israel. So it's only like the highest is 25 to 34, but then which is weird, which is interesting.
Well, I
I'm
mean,
happy
what's
to see
also
that.
really important to highlight about this is that this was not the case in December of 2023. In December
Right.
of 2023, for the age group of 18 to 24 and 25 to 34, there was majority support among those. Wait, actually, let me double check myself. What page is this on? 45.
Yeah, so you
Um,
had a temporary increase for hatred for Israel, and then immediately went back to where it was. Because you
yeah.
guys cannot help yourself. Because because some leftists support you, and then they were like, oh, wow, this is what these people believe in, and
Yeah, no,
then
no, no. Here,
eventually they regret supporting.
I can explain this very easily. So, what it was in December of 2023 was 18 to 24 was split 50%, 50-50 support for Israel, support for Hamas, literally 50-50.
For
Then
what age
25
group?
to 34 was 69% support for Israel, 31% support for Hamas. And then 35 to 44 was 76% support for Israel, 24% support for Hamas. So those were the generations that had the largest support for Hamas. And then you look at where things are nowadays in January 2025, and there's been a massive shift in opinion. And I explain this in two ways. One, when Americans are normal people and they don't like to see people being bombarded in war. Like and that's when things were really, really kicking off, right? And it's kind of like a shock to the system. You know, people are going to have a strong reaction to that. They're going to say, we hate to see this. We hate to see the suffering. We hate to see the misery.
And that's a correct position. It's just like
Yeah.
they just don't know who to blame sometimes. But yeah, obviously it's bad to see like that is a correct reaction to have to seeing people being bombarded. It's hard to
And
explain that Hamas is to be blamed, but it's we don't want to see
and
people
then
being indifferent to it. But yeah, go on.
the problem is, and this is very similar, I will compare it to the support we saw for Black Lives Matter during 2020. We saw the death of George Floyd. We saw a giant overwhelming spike for Black Lives Matter in response to that. And then as that movement decided to burn things to the ground and go out of control and spin into destruction, you see support
Right.
drop like a fucking rock. And this is why I say that leftists will always eat themselves, because they don't know how to fucking act. And I believe that this is part of what we've seen from this conflict, that there was a huge upswell in support. And then as the activists in the United States decide to take over this cause and across the West and really act a fool, it was extremely unpalatable to the average American public because they are not that disordered in their personality and their mental health. Okay. And it's a bad look. And this is why I say that I have sympathy and I grieve. I grieve for any group of people that has these activists and these leftists as their ally and as their spokesperson, because they have destroyed this cause and its popularity within the United States with their bad behavior. Their what's the word I'm looking for? It's almost like a weaponized empathy. Impotent rage. That's what I'm looking for. With their impotent rage. So maladaptive and disordered that the rest of Americans who are sympathetic people that don't like to see people die then go, is this what this is about? Because if so, I hate everything about what you're doing. So I'm going to dismiss everything else about this social cause. And I would love to see someone needs to take all this data from Harvard Caps Harris and plot it longitudinally, because I want to see, how it mapped over time, and then when you can map them onto specific events that were
Ooh,
happening internationally and domestically,
yeah,
and I bet
those
it would be a very revealing picture.
and those are the type of studies that are the best for identifying causality. Yeah.
Hmm.
Which is very interesting. That's a very good point. Susie knows her research. This is research skills. But it's just a very quick point because I know I have talked so much, but I just want to get this out of the way. People like Mehdi Hassan and others try to use this graph, this other data. They don't mention this one. They mention this one to act like people are anti-Israel, right? Because most Americans would support. So the question here is, do you support or oppose the ceasefire deal reached between Israel and Hamas, which aims to end the war in Gaza and release hostages? So because most Americans would like to see and look at how the question is phrased, like release hostages, like who would say, like, the question the question is like, oh no, like if somebody sees this question, like, oh, I don't want to see the hostages released. So obviously
I
the
mean, some
questions
people
like
do
this
say
will get,
that.
I know some people are like, yeah, but obviously this question is going to get more people saying yes, please get a ceasefire to get the hostages released, and then because so somebody like Mehdi Hassan or other people could come out and say, like, look, Americans was a ceasefire, and Netanyahu doesn't want a ceasefire, and this shows Americans are against the Israeli government or whatever, or they're anti-Israel, they're taking a stance against Israel. But they ignore this other data over here that shows, like, no, between people are actually pro-Israel. Most Americans are actually pro-Israel. So just know I need you guys on this channel, the audience of this channel, to know these facts, because I want to have, for us to have a very sophisticated audience that knows how to respond to these mumbo jumbo where you
And
see it. So
positive
this is what,
outreach, positive outlook. Look at how much people's opinions changed.
yes, yeah, this is something to be happy about. Let's do the comments on
Yes.
the, like, the D selected for us. So I'm not going to do the post. I'm just going to do the, oh, here, the comments here.
Yeah, so this is a Palestinian activist who I actually follow. He's very interesting. I don't always agree with him though. Saying, what kind of victory is this? Over 40,000 were killed, 100,000 were injured, and more than 65% of Gaza's buildings are reduced to rubble. This isn't victory. This is a grotesque display of indifference to Gazan lives, all for the delusion of a hollow, false triumph. Um, this guy, Ihab, he's been highlighting a lot that as soon as this ceasefire went into effect, how Hamas has just been like executing Gazans in the street, like for supposed collaboration with the enemy. He highlights their
Actually,
crimes against Gazans a lot, which I think is needed.
this is actually such a great point. Okay, when so many people, so many Palestinians have died, and then you say victory, this shows how these so-called pro-Palestinians, how much they value Palestinian lives when this much death is being sold as a victory to us. You
Yeah.
do not value Palestinian lives if you think this is what victory looks like. I saw, by the way, I told this to Susanna, there was an Iranian analyst, of government analyst, like pro-government analyst, that was criticizing other Iranian pro-government analysts, claiming that this is victory. And he was saying that if we keep winning like this 2 more times, we will go extinct. Okay. So yeah, anyways, but let's go.
Winning so hard our cause no longer exists. What?
Yes, yes.
This person was saying a victory in ruins. The scale of destruction in Gaza surpasses Hiroshima, Nagasaki, and Dresden. I don't know if that's accurate. Gazans are slowly realizing that Hamas's victory declaration might be the cruelest joke they've ever heard, tragically. Enough rubble to fill up the still existing terror tunnels. Probably.
How could you compare this to? Okay, guys, it's not like Hiroshima, Nagasaki, and Dresden. I mean, the numbers that we're seeing right now are astronomically high for modern standards. More modern, 40,000 people dying. It's a very high and tragic number for our modern standards. okay, which we want this to be considered to be a tragedy, but these numbers are nothing compared to the death and destruction that was the norm just one generation ago. Are you kidding me? Hiroshima, guys, the world that we live in today, 40,000 people dying is a shock. Just one generation ago, between 1935 and 1945, for that entire time, people were dying, and I'm not kidding you, I'm not making this up, by a rate of 1,000 people an hour. Not a year, not a day, 1,000 person an hour from war during that entire period. That entire period. Do you understand the numbers we're talking about? We're talking millions, hundreds of thousands was progress when people were dying, because actual catastrophic wars had millions dying. And now we got into this shows how much progress. I mean, I'm not saying this is not a tragedy, but the fact that our levels of tragedies are talking about tens of thousands of people dying instead of hundreds of thousands of people
Well, it
dying,
shows how
instead
far
of
we've come.
millions of people. Yeah, that shows how far we've gotten. How dare you even compare this? Unbelievable. But let's continue.
Oh my God.
Oh God, gee, why are you doing this to them?
Guys, remember, Khomeini says, the mighty Rahbar, Gaza has won. Never forget.
Yes. Wait. No. Anyways.
That's a perfect note to end on. That's a
Yes.
Thank you.
I mean,
if there was not any further evidence we needed that if this is victory, what do you call defeat? It's a glorious quote from Khamenei. Gaza has won.
Delusional. You live in a parallel universe. These people live in La La Land. I mean, you know what? I actually celebrate this, because this is the reason why you continue to be defeated. Because your understanding of the world is so far away from reality that you cannot progress. Do you know why Israel is winning? Because Israel admits defeat when it loses something and it betters itself. The reason why you're far behind is because you never learn. And you never find your mistakes because you make no mistakes. That's why you will continue to be weak. In fact, you know what, Khamenei, you're right. You guys are winning. Keep doing what you're doing. You know, you guys are flawless. Fantastic. The resistance is stronger than ever. I want you to be disillusioned. I actually celebrate you being disillusioned, because that's how you get defeated.
Oh my God. Oh wow, we got a giant super chat from Tomer.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, so referring to a past super chat, what Bar is talking about is the Gulf War invasion in Iraq when the Palestinians helped Saddam overthrow Kuwait. Yeah, that's what I was referring to. Similar thing over the decades in Lebanon and Jordan, along with Holland, and no Arab countries want them. That's why what Trump was saying like really threw me through a loop. I'm like, I don't know if you know the situation, my guy. HK gave, I think they were trying to give 18 shekels. And, I don't know if you know this, Armin, but like 18 means chai. It means life. Oh. So it's really common when you're trying to like celebrate someone to give them things in 18 to wish them like a good life.
Know that.
Yeah. Like people might not know this, but when I was in college, I worked for a rabbi, and my rabbi liked me so much that she was so funny. She was like, I don't care if you're not Jewish, I'm your rabbi. She would pay me $18 an hour because she wanted like the chai.
Okay, that's cute.
So saying learning a lot. Thank you, Susanna and Armin. Well, thank you, HK. And thank you for the well wishes. Zaid left this comment saying, did you guys see the video all over social media of Gazans celebrating the return of Coca-Cola after a year and a half? And all the Muslims triggered in the comments saying, we boycotted this for you. Okay, Zaid, no, I have
I
not seen this, and you need to send this
send
to me
that.
immediately. Send this to me
Send that.
immediately.
That's so cool. I didn't know that. Send that to us.
Hysterical. Angry Keyboard Warrior is saying, "Congratulations, Armin. You made Gen Z 29% more pro-Israel."
Yes, it was all me. It was all me. But seriously,
Here,
guys, support this channel because I I know that's a joke. Our effect is not that much, but we do have some positive effect. So if you want to see more of Generation Z and future generations to have their correct viewpoint, please support this channel, like the stream, recommend this channel. I think we're doing something good here.
yeah. And
Speaking of.
Aiden was just celebrating. Congrats on 70K subscribers, Armin. Thank you.
Yay. Yeah, thank you. And Susie, congratulations to Susie too.
Um,
Susie. I mean, we
and
wouldn't be, guys, seriously, we wouldn't be able to be, we would have gone under without Susie ages ago. So thank you. A special thank you for Susie for getting us here.
and Annabelle just became a new member. Thank you for supporting the channel, Annabelle.
Welcome. Welcome to the, how about we say welcome to the Republic instead of the AR army? Welcome to the Republic.
Oh my gosh, Zaid just sent me the videos. Wait, I'll forward this to you. Okay, in a second. Let me finish these super chats. Dan is saying, I support Israel, but I also support creation of a secular, democratic, not Islamic republic, Palestine, even though it's highly unlikely it'll be secular. I mean, we can all have things on our wish list. We can all dream.
It's on my wish list. This is also on my wish list if it was possible. If it was possible. And if it's not possible, we have to figure out something else. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be possible. I mean, right now, that doesn't seem to be possible.
Yeah. Dan gave a celebrating his membership. Thank you, Dan, saying Russia, Ukraine is way worse than Israel, Gaza. By what metric? Can you be more specific?
Russia, Ukraine is way worse than Israel, Gaza. Oh, when it comes to the number of people dying, that actually might be true. Is that true? I haven't been following the numbers.
Unicorn also celebrating her membership, saying thanks as always, Susan Orman. Thank you, my friend. Thank you for supporting us. And Dan Dave gave another super chat saying, I think Democrats support Israel because of white guilt. Republicans support Israel because of biblical Jesus rapture fantasy. Agree or disagree? I disagree. I think you have a bad understanding about this. Democrats support Palestine because of white guilt. Not Israel. And that's a generalization and an oversimplification.
Some of them, the ones who do, you mean?
Yeah, but a lot of the whole ideological framework for supporting Palestine is all decolonial. That's the whole point. And that's why they constantly talk about the idea of Turtle Island instead of calling it North America, because that's trying to recognize the indigenous name and say that, you know, America also has no right to exist. We're all on occupied land back. Like they tie everything together. And to be fair, those are people who don't even support the Democratic Party because the Democratic Party is too right for them. These are people who are likely to not even believe in voting in the U.S. I'm very familiar with them because, yeah.
So I consider the ideological. Okay, so you have to look at the material reality on the ground and the economics of things to understand why certain things are trending in a certain way, in a direction. And those are the actual main movers. And then the ideological things that you see is the dressing on top of it. That without the underlying material realities, things wouldn't be moving in that direction in the way that you see it, for it to express itself in different ideological appearance. Like, that's just the appearance. But the main underlying reason for supporting Israel that makes economic and world stability sense, that's why both parties are support Israel, is because Israel is an ally of the world liberal order in the Middle East. That is the main reason. That is the main geopolitical, economic instability reason. Okay, but anyways,
let's go to the next story. Do you have
the
that
video,
ready?
you wanna...
Oh wait, we
Okay.
got one more super chat. Saying, have you Googled Trump and 2,000-pound bombs? I mean, you're talking about
Yes,
the Moab. Like, what about it?
Trump has now removed the ban of selling them to Israel. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, please be more specific with your super chats so we can address them appropriately.
Yes, but thank you for the support.
Yeah.
Did you want to play this or no? Should we move forward?
Oh, not right now. Or actually, yeah, we should do it now.
Okay, let's just do this fast.
حماد ابو اسماعيل الكولا.
Oh my god, I love this. This is such an insult to all the so-called pro-Palestinian people who are boycotting. You're kissing Zionism. Did you know, Ali Dava? Palestinians are kissing Zionism.
No, the other one.
Oh
Did you
my
download
God.
that one?
Which one?
I sent you a second one.
Yep. Oh, you did? I missed that. So okay, here I have it really quickly. This would not take a long
Ironic,
time.
like, I'm not even kidding. Like, this might be one of the best advertisements for Coca-Cola I've ever seen. Like,
Yes,
I don't like Coca-Cola, but the absolute joy to have the Coca-Cola, like, is selling. Look at the joy on his face as he lets that the lid like crack. Okay, now this is an advertisement.
This is an example for that Palestinians just want living. You know, these are at least the Palestinians who your freaking ideology. You know, they just want to be able to enjoy a freaking Coke in peace rather than fighting for your goddamn stupid ideology. But let's watch this.
Yeah.
بسم الله نبتدي كولا من قبل 460 يوم. بسم الله اسمع إن عن عرض الفتحة محلاها. والآن سوف نشرب بسم الله. يا عيني يا ابن ماذا شعرت الآن؟ ايش شعرت؟ ولك ما هذا إلا عن الكوكب، ولك كولا انتم مستوعبين من قبل 470 يوم لن مش لاقيينها. ولك هسه الحرب اللي خلصها يا شيخ. سلامات.
You know, I really feel bad for them that this has become a luxury, that they miss this. I mean, this just let them live instead of making them fight for death, for the afterlife, for fucking martyrdom. You know, the reason why they cannot enjoy life, just simple pleasures of life, is because you brainwash people to fight for something in the next one, in the next life. Do you know who makes the most amazing, gorgeous, and other adjectives that I can't use here on YouTube, blasphemous art ever? We do! And for some reason, we are giving it away for free. Download them now using the link in the description before we change our mind.